So I was here thinking about Marxism. Yeah, it's a it's a nice text. It is a nice grimoire written by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Mostly Friedrich Engels, because Marx, I suppose he wasn't good at anything. Oh yeah, spending money. He was good at that. But you see, this text was idealized. It is a nice piece of fiction that idealizes, you know, economy. It has nothing to do with economy in the end. The text, because if you put it into practice, it just doesn't work. But it gives you how the things ought to be. It's in an imaginary text. It's a grimoire, right? The purpose is to capture your imagination. Yeah, that's why it's so successful. That's why people fall for it until they realize the truth. This is very common strategy because uh, the same is used in the schooling system. You see, they don't want you to rebel. So they will feed you through the education system until you finish your diploma, your certificate, your working permit. Until you finish, they will feed you nice theological theories, theological ideas, this idealized world, so beautiful, and everything is hitting the right notes, but it has nothing to do with reality. Yeah. When you are then put into the working force, you realize everything you learned has no use there anymore. Some people take it quite as a shock, They really, really take it as a shock. And then you are faced with the decision. Do I play along or do I rebel? Most people play along because they invested so many years of their life studying, and then when they arrive at the working place, March, March or get fired. I mean, you have bills, you're 20 plus years old, you have objectives in your life. So you're going to play the game. You're going to shut up, swallow the hot potato, and play along. In practice, nothing really is. That's why, as you learned, that's why some companies actually don't want universitarians, because they come out of the university system nowadays so brainwashed that they need 10 years to reprogram them, So they prefer to go and get high school, graduates or high school dropouts or self-taught people. Honestly, nowadays we don't need schools anymore. With the internet, you can learn pretty much whatever you want. And if you are lucky enough, to have the intuition to be, and educate yourself, or someone that guides you, into educating yourself, um, you'll be hired on the spot. Um, Recently, there's been, the syndicate around here. The syndicates kind of made a huge, protest, and they stopped 90% of the working force, private and public sector. 90% of the population that's actively working just went on strike. And one of the things they wanted was to, you know, was to change the law about the 5 year, that people need to work before they get accepted You see, they come out of the university system. They need 5 years to be reprogrammed. Once they are reprogrammed, they can effectively become part of the working force, you know. And they want to change that. They want to change that. They don't think it's fair. They want to come out of the university system and be hired immediately. No, no, you need reprogramming. Sorry. That's how it is. Um, yeah, and funny enough, they went 90%, only the essential, stayed working, right? Only the essential. And you know what? Everything worked smoothly. Anyways, yeah, everything went smoothly regardless. I don't know. So, yeah, there's a huge difference between this imaginary Harry Potter, jargon that is fed and reality. They want to as early as possible, capture your imagination so you don't rebel. And once you are a grown up, it's a bit too late to rebel. This is it, right? This is the system now. Shut up and march. It's pretty much what I am observing. Um, why does it have to be this way? Reality, is is unbearable for most people. You know, yeah, reality is unbearable. And if you were to educate someone with facts, logic, and wisdom early on, you know, you wouldn't have a working force at all. That's the thing. You have to raise them stupid. Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a working force. You know what I mean? So that's why. You have to capture their imagination early on. And they will wake up eventually, but it will be too late. This is how it is. Um, could the world be any different? Yeah, of course. But you have to understand, not everybody has the same, IQ, I would say. Not everybody has the same IQ, and that's the issue. There's only a small percentage of the population that actually is awakened. In an ideal world, right? People would become, I don't know, 95% self-sufficient, you know. But that's very difficult to come by. It is because IQ, criminality is linked to IQ. Why do you think we have so many walls and castles and whatever? People who are intelligent, they pretty much, follow natural order. But then you have others that are not so intelligent, and they start, violating natural order. The reason why we have walls and castles and everything, because IQ, some people just can't deal. Some people just can't have a, normal harmony with, they can't be in harmony with the cosmos. They can't, so that's the reason why we have the system that we have. Yeah.